What if everything you know about Mars is a lie? What if NASA is hiding something that could completely change the future of humanity? For decades, the world's most powerful space agency has been showing us controlled images, releasing only what they want us to see. But what if I told you that former NASA scientists revealed information that contradicts everything we've ever heard? Mars has always been an enigma, an arid, desolate, lifeless planet. At least, that's what the official narrative tells us. But leaked records, testimonies from former employees, and cryptic images suggest a much more complex truth. Some of these discoveries are so shocking that they could redefine our understanding of life beyond Earth. Why do so many space missions to Mars have inexplicable failures? Why does NASA insist on editing certain images before releasing them to the public? In the secret files, there is evidence that has never been fully explained. Structures that do not appear natural, signs of chemical elements that indicate biological activity, and even UDU, reports captured by probes that have never been officially recognized. If this information is real, why does NASA continue to deny it? What is being hidden from us? The space agency's silence on these points only raises more suspicions. There is something more than what we are told, and it is time to look at this evidence with new eyes. But before we dive deep into the evidence that suggests Mars may harbor never-before-revealed secrets, we need to understand why this information is so sensitive and what scientists who have been inside NASA have to say about it. If this information is true, we are facing one of the biggest omissions in the history of space exploration. NASA, an agency that is supposed to represent scientific transparency, appears to have secrets that have never been shared with the public. And the burning question is, why? Staying informed about these hidden discoveries is not just a matter of curiosity, but of understanding the extent to which we are manipulated by the information that reaches us. If NASA really found signs of life or something even more surprising on Mars and hid it from the public, what other truths might be being covered up? The answer to this question may lie in leaked documents, testimonies from former scientists, and mysterious images that were analyzed by independent experts. But this information is not easily accessible. They are loose pieces of a puzzle that few have the courage to put together. And that's exactly why you can't miss this content. What we reveal here could change the way you view space exploration forever. If NASA is hiding something, it is our duty to seek the truth. And the more people have access to this information, the greater the pressure will be for answers to come to light. So, if you want to always be ahead, if you want to know what really happens behind the closed doors of NASA, leave a like and subscribe to the channel right now. This helps us continue to bring investigative content that questions the official versions and exposes what no one else is talking about. Now, brace yourself, because the evidence you'll see next is simply shocking. NASA tells us that Mars is a frozen desert, an inhospitable planet where life, at least as we know it, would be practically impossible. The images released by space missions show an arid world, full of dust and rocks, without a dense atmosphere, and without evident signs of living organisms. This is what the official narrative tells us. But is this the whole truth? Since the 1970s, NASA has been sending probes to Mars, and with the advancement of technology, robots like the Curiosity and the Perseverance managed to provide even more detailed information about the red planet. Collected data reveals that Mars once had rivers, lakes, and even oceans, suggesting that in the past, its environment was much more similar to Earth's. That in itself is intriguing. If Mars was once covered in water, what are the chances that life arose there? The samples analyzed by these robots also showed something even more surprising: the presence of organic molecules, substances essential for life. This doesn't mean there are living organisms on Mars now, but it raises a big question. If there were conditions for life at some point in the past, Has it really disappeared completely? Or does something still survive hidden beneath the surface? NASA itself has already admitted that Mars may have had the ideal conditions to support life. In press conferences, agency scientists stated that, in its distant past, Mars probably had a dense atmosphere, milder temperatures, and liquid water running across its surface. If all this was true, what happened to the planet that made it become the cold, desolate desert we see today? The discoveries don't stop there. Recently, scientists found evidence of methane in the Martian atmosphere, a gas that, on Earth, is mainly produced by living organisms. NASA was cautious in releasing this information, saying that the methane could also have a geological origin. But there is an interesting detail. The methane that was detected on Mars appears and disappears at certain times of the year, which may indicate an active biological process. Does this mean there could be microscopic organisms still alive in the Martian subsurface? And one more curious fact. NASA has already confirmed that there is salt water flowing on Mars today. In 2015, the agency released images of dark streaks that appear on the slopes of Martian craters during the summer and disappear in the winter. This was considered strong evidence that small amounts of liquid water still exist on the planet. If there is liquid water on Mars, even in small quantities, that changes everything. Water is one of the main ingredients for life, and where there is water, there are chances for microorganisms to exist. The problem is that, since this revelation, NASA has made little progress in releasing new information about these formations. And then the question arises, why does such an important discovery seem to have been forgotten? NASA always emphasizes that Mars remains a mystery, and that missions are there to discover more about its history. But there's something strange about how the agency handles certain information. Whenever new evidence emerges, such as the presence of methane or the possibility of liquid water, the official response is always the same. We still can't say for sure. This excessive caution raises suspicions. Does NASA already know more than it is telling us? Another issue that we cannot ignore is the existence of anomalies in images captured by rovers and satellites. In several photos released to the public, internet users and even experts have already pointed out strange shapes on the Martian soil. Some look like ordinary stones, but others resemble geometric structures, artifacts, or even supposed ruins. Of course, it could just be pareidolia. It's a psychological phenomenon in which our brain interprets random shapes as something familiar. But given so many unexpected discoveries, should we completely rule out the possibility that something else is hidden on this planet? And one more curiosity that few realize. Whenever a rover finds something potentially interesting, NASA rarely explores the same area again. They move on, as if it weren't worthy of further investigation. This has already happened with rocks that seem to have strange patterns, with points where sensors indicated unusual chemical variations, and even with regions where images show unusual reflections, as if there were some type of different material in the soil. But let's go further. Some former NASA scientists claim that there has been evidence of microbial life on Mars since the 1970s. When the probes Viking 1 and Viking 2 carried out experiments to detect biological signals in the planet's soil, the results were positive. But, interestingly, NASA decided to rule out these data, claiming that they could have been false positives. Does this make sense to you? And if there really was a mistake at that time, why haven't they repeated the same experiments with more advanced technology to this day? Curiosity and Perseverance, for example, were not equipped with instruments to perform direct tests of life. They only analyzed the chemical composition of the soil. How is it possible that, after so many years of exploration, we have still not sent a mission capable of definitively answering this question? The pieces of this puzzle don't fit together completely. On the one hand, NASA admits that Mars once had conditions for life. On the other, It always downplays any new evidence that suggests life might still exist there. What is happening? The agency really found nothing? Why does it seem to act so carefully when releasing information? If Mars is just a dead planet, why continue sending so many missions to explore it, spending billions of dollars without even including direct experiments to test for the presence of microorganisms? Is the objective of these missions different? With all this information, it's hard to ignore the feeling that NASA might not be telling us everything. But the big question is, what could they be hiding? Have they already found definitive signs of life, but still don't want to publicize it? Or does Mars hold even more impressive secrets, ones that would change our understanding of life beyond Earth forever? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that NASA has already found something that it is hiding from the public? Or do you think these are all just baseless theories? Comment below. NASA is hiding something. If you think there is something hidden or everything is a coincidence, it is believed that there is nothing strange about all this. Your opinion is essential to this debate. If all these discoveries still seem inconclusive, it is because perhaps the answer was found a long time ago, but was never revealed to the public. There is a fine line between science and censorship, and many scientists who have been inside NASA claim that this barrier has been crossed. Some information should never have been known, but now it is coming to light, exposing truths that could change everything we believe about Mars. Gilbert Levin, one of the scientists who worked on the Viking mission, stated that tests carried out on Martian soil in 1976 already indicated the presence of active biological processes. That is, clear signs of microbial life. Viking 1 and Viking 2 carried out an experiment called labeled release, which mixed soil samples from Mars with nutrients labeled with radioactive carbon. If there were microorganisms, they would consume the nutrients and release detectable gas. The result? A buildup of gas in the test chamber. Just as would happen if the soil contained live bacteria. On Earth, this same test has always indicated the presence of life. But surprisingly, NASA refused to recognize the experiment as definitive proof. They claimed that the results could have been caused by unknown chemical processes and decided rule out the data. Since then, no other mission sent to Mars has repeated the test. Why was such a shocking discovery ignored? Could it be that the answer has already been found and they just don't want us to know? Former NASA engineer Norman Berggren went even further. He claimed that there is mysterious structures in space that have never been officially explained, including formations on Mars that do not appear to be natural. He defended the idea that certain elements found in satellite and rover photographs indicate artificial activity, suggesting that Mars may have been inhabited at some point or even still harbors some type of unknown presence. And if that wasn't enough, hackers have already leaked confidential NASA documents that mention something even scarier: a supposed secret colonization project. These files would indicate that NASA and other space organizations could be operating undisclosed missions exploring Mars, much earlier than what we are officially told. There are those who say that bases may have already been built on Mars, and that certain technological advances are hidden so that the world population continues to believe that the red planet is still an unexplored and hostile territory. If this information is true, it raises an alarming question. If renowned scientists, former NASA employees, and even independent experts indicate that there is something wrong with this narrative, why has the agency never officially confirmed any of these findings? What justifies so much silence around a planet that has already received dozens of missions and billions of dollars in investments? The fact is that NASA seems to have a very specific standard when dealing with information about Mars. Whenever evidence emerges that deviates from the conventional narrative, it is discarded, minimized, or simply forgotten. The Viking experiment, strange formations in satellite images, reports from scientists, and even recent missions, such as the Perseverance rover, which captured unexplained variations in methane in the atmosphere and never came up with a convincing explanation. If we think about it, isn't it strange that, after exploring Mars for so long, NASA still hasn't carried out a definitive experiment to search for living organisms? Wouldn't it be much more logical to equip missions with more advanced sensors? To resolve this issue once and for all? What if that answer already exists and was deliberately hidden? There are those who say that NASA is not alone in this supposed concealment. Other space agencies, private companies, and even governments may be involved in an operation bigger than we imagine. The space race is not just about exploration and scientific discovery, but also about power, technological dominance, and control of information. Whoever has knowledge about life beyond Earth may be holding an incalculable strategic advantage. And this pattern of secrecy and mystery is not just limited to Mars. Other space discoveries have also been surrounded by controversy and contradictions. The Moon itself, for example, is a topic that raises suspicions, as there are records of secret missions, mysterious objects detected on the surface, and even reports from astronauts who say they saw something that has not been officially documented. This leads us to think, if Mars really does keep secrets, is it the only place where the truth is being hidden? It is impressive how this information has been circulating among scientists and experts for years, but rarely reaches the general public. Few people talk about it. The mainstream media ignores these reports, and when debates arise, they are quickly discredited, classified as conspiracy theories or simply swept under the rug. But now, with the internet, we have access to an amount of information never seen before. People around the world began to connect the dots, analyze documents, study images, and listen to the accounts of those who were once inside these operations. And the more we look at this information, the more we realize that something doesn't fit with the official story. So we need to ask ourselves, if there is a hidden truth about Mars, why hasn't it been revealed yet? Is there something that humanity is not yet ready to know? Does NASA fear that, by admitting the existence of life beyond Earth, it will provoke a radical change in society, science, and even global geopolitics? Or are we being kept in the dark because large corporations and governments want to control this information for as long as possible? While these questions remain unanswered, we continue to follow each new detail about Mars with a more critical eye, questioning the official versions and seeking to understand what's really happening behind the scenes of space exploration. But now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that NASA has already found signs of life and is hiding it from the public? Or do you think it's all just coincidence and exaggerated interpretations? Leave your comment below and write, "The truth about Mars is hidden." If you believe there is something being hidden, or this is just speculation. If you think that all this evidence is still not enough to prove anything. Your opinion is essential to this debate, and together we can try to understand what is really behind this information that never reaches the general public. If all this information already raises suspicions about what NASA really knows about Mars, what about the visual evidence and leaked documents that indicate something even stranger? For decades, images captured by NASA probes and rovers have revealed details that simply don't make sense within the official narrative of a barren, uninhabited Mars. Some of these images were released to the public, but were quickly dismissed as optical illusions or natural formations. Others were never officially recognized by NASA, but found their way into forums of space exploration, experts, and enthusiasts. The problem is that the more we analyze this evidence, the more questions arise. One of the most controversial images was recorded by the probe, Mars Global Surveyor, and shows a structure that many believe resembles a pyramid. Yes, a pyramid on Mars. The geometric formation, with extremely symmetrical lines and right angles, does not appear to be just a geological coincidence. NASA quickly classified the image as a natural formation, a play of shadows and light. But for those who have studied Mars anomalies for years. This answer is unconvincing. If similar structures were found on Earth, they would never be ruled out without further investigation. Why would Mars be any different? Another intriguing example comes from images captured by the rover Curiosity, where we can see an elongated stone that resembles a fossilized bone. NASA explained that it is just rock shaped by wind and erosion over millions of years. But if we compare this formation with fossils found on Earth, the similarities are striking. What would be more plausible? Could this formation be just another coincidence, or could it be a remnant of Mars' unknown past? And what about the famous structures in Cydonia, the Martian region where what appears to be a face carved into the surface was photographed? The image was recorded by probe Viking 1 in 1976 and has been the subject of endless debate ever since. At first, NASA tried to downplay the discovery, claiming that the shadow of the mountains had created the illusion of a face. But years later, when new images of the region were released, many people noticed that the details of the formation had been softened, as if NASA had intentionally altered the image to erase the resemblance to a humanoid face. Was it just an effect of the camera quality, or was something being hidden? In addition to these images, there are also leaked documents which indicate that NASA may have found microscopic life on Mars even before the most recent missions. One of these documents describes a study that analyzed particles collected in the Martian atmosphere and detected microscopic structures similar to extremophile bacteria, organisms that, on Earth, live in extreme environments such as hot springs and salt lakes. However, rather than announcing this as a possible sign of life, NASA labeled the find as not conclusive, burying the research without further investigation. If the same results had been found on any other planet or even one of the moons of Jupiter or Saturn, they would have been widely publicized. But on Mars, a planet that has already been shown to have favorable conditions for life, these findings appear to be treated with an excessive level of secrecy. Another interesting detail that few realize is that NASA often uses color filters in images sent from Mars. While the public receives images in reddish and dusty tones, some original images, when analyzed by independent experts, show a bluer sky and lighting that resembles that of Earth. This raises a disturbing question. What are we really seeing? Could it be that the true appearance of Mars is being altered so that we don't notice something bigger? Is Mars much more like Earth than we are told? The images already cause controversy. The audio captured by probes and rovers add even more mystery to the story. During recent missions, strange noises were recorded on the Martian surface. Cracks, electromagnetic pulses, and even sounds reminiscent of subterranean vibrations have been detected. Scientists suggest that these sounds could just be atmospheric effects or equipment failures. But some believe that these recordings are signs of something deeper happening beneath the Martian crust. Some theorists claim that these noises could be indicative of seismic activity or even underground processes that are not yet understood. If all this is not enough to raise doubts about what is happening on Mars, we also have reports from astronauts who, over the years, have suggested that there is much more going on in space than is disclosed to the public. Former Apollo astronaut Buzz Aldrin has already made cryptic statements about space exploration and mentioned anomalies detected on Mars' moons, particularly in Phobos, one of the planet's 2 small moons. He stated that there is a strange monolith on Phobos, something that stands out in the landscape and that appears not be natural. These words caused an uproar in the scientific community. But, as always, NASA quickly downplayed the case. If all this evidence still hasn't convinced you that Mars could hold deep secrets, then you need to ask yourself, why does so much information seem to be hidden from the public? If this was all just coincidence, why does NASA always have an explanation ready to rule out any possibility of something more complex? Why do images disappear? Reports are shelved and leaked information is quickly discredited. Perhaps we are just beginning to unravel a mystery much greater than we imagine. If NASA really found something extraordinary on Mars, the truth may not be revealed anytime soon. But one thing is certain. The more we analyze this evidence, the harder it becomes to believe that Mars is just a dead, unimportant planet. Now I want to know your opinion. Do you believe NASA hides information about Mars? Comment below. NASA doesn't tell everything. If you think there is something being kept secret, or it's all just an illusion, it is believed that this evidence can be explained naturally. Your comment is essential to the debate, and together we can try to understand what is really happening on Mars. If all this evidence is real, why does NASA insist on downplaying every discovery that points to the possibility of life on Mars? Why is there always a quick justification for denying anything that deviates from the official script? The answer may lie in something much greater than simple scientific precaution. The secrecy surrounding Mars may be related to government interests, corporate dominance, and covert operations that go far beyond the space exploration we know publicly. If there is something there, a hidden truth, have the global elite known this for a long time and are just deciding when and how this information will be released to the rest of the world. One of the most obvious reasons for hiding the truth would be the impact that the revelation of alien life could have on society. Imagine for a moment what would happen if NASA announced tomorrow that it has found active life forms on Mars, or that it already has concrete evidence that the planet was inhabited in the past. This would not only change the way we see the universe, but it would also shake up science, philosophy, religion, and even the power structures of humanity. Governments would collapse, belief systems would be questioned, and the population could react with fear and chaos. How to control the narrative of an event of this size? There is already knowledge about life on Mars. Perhaps secrecy is the only way to prevent the revelation from getting out of control. Another important factor to consider is the monopoly of large corporations in the space sector. Companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and other aerospace industry giants have invested billions of dollars to be the first to commercially explore Mars. If NASA were to publicly confirm the existence of life, it would completely change the rules of the game. International regulations would be created. Planetary protection treaties would be reinforced, and the interest of private companies in colonize and explore Martian resources could be harmed. Thus, keeping information under control would not only be a strategy to avoid panic, but also a way of preserve the financial interests of an elite that wants to dominate space before the public realizes what is really happening. And there is another possibility that few dare to consider: the secret space program. Rumors and leaked documents suggest that Mars may have already been explored in a confidential a long time ago. Some theories suggest that missions, not publicly disclosed, may have already sent astronauts, automated bases, or even highly advanced technologies for the Red Planet. There are even claims that humans already set foot on Mars decades ago, and that humanity's true space program is much more developed than we realize. Evidence for this conspiracy comes from different sources. Former military and former NASA employees claim that there are secret missions conducted by parallel agencies outside public control. Some claim that there is a human presence on Mars operating clandestinely for years. Others suggest that the planet may be being prepared for a future occupation, but that this transition needs to be carefully planned before being revealed to the world. If this is true, it would explain why NASA seems so reluctant to give definitive answers about Mars, if there is an infrastructure already in place there. Admitting this would be admitting that we have been deceived for decades. Furthermore, control of information is not restricted to NASA alone. Other space agencies, such as ESA, European Space Agency, Roscosmos Russia, and CNSA China, also have their own Mars exploration programs. Each of these organizations has its own interests, but none of them seems willing to challenge the official narrative. Are they all following the same global protocol to keep certain secrets hidden? Or is there a silent dispute between these powers over who will be the first to truly explore Mars and gain access to its possible resources and secrets? What we do know is that Mars has become one of the central focuses of modern space exploration. Billions of dollars are invested annually in new missions, and large projects for the colonization of the planet are already being developed by private companies and governments. But why such an obsession with Mars? What is there that justifies such a rush and so much secrecy? If life existed on Mars in the past or still exists in some form today, this discovery could completely rewrite our history. It would force us to rethink our place in the universe, to question whether we really are alone, and to consider the possibility that our own planet may have been visited by advanced civilizations in the past. Some theorists believe that the revelation of life beyond Earth could be deliberately delayed to avoid a civilizational clash, and that we are gradually being prepared for this discovery in a controlled way. There are many pieces to this puzzle, and when we start to connect them, we realize that there is much more going on behind the scenes of space exploration than we could ever imagine. Mars could be humanity's next step in conquering space, but it could also be the biggest unsolved mystery of modern history. What is really going on behind the closed doors of NASA and space agencies around the world? What has already been discovered and has not been disclosed? If elites and governments already know about the existence of life, are we being prepared for a greater revelation? Or will this secret never be completely revealed? Now I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that NASA and other space agencies hide information about Mars? Comment here, Mars has secrets, if you think there is something hidden or this is just speculation. It is believed that all this can be explained naturally. Your comment is essential for the debate and for us to continue exploring the mysteries of space together. So far, we've explored countless pieces of evidence, testimonies from former NASA scientists, controversial images, and leaked documents that suggest Mars could hide something much bigger than we imagine. But what if this is all just a coincidence? What if the strange formations, geometric patterns, and supposed signs of life are just an effect of our desire to find answers where they may not exist? Conventional science has always sought to remain within a rational and verifiable spectrum, and according to NASA and the official scientific community, there is no definitive proof that Mars has ever hosted or still hosts any type of life. For the space agency, all discoveries made so far point to a past where water was abundant, but not necessarily to the existence of biological organisms. The official version claims that the strange formations seen in images from satellites and rovers can be easily explained by natural processes. The face in Cydonia, for example, would have been just an effect of shadows and light. And the supposed pyramids would have been nothing more than mountains eroded over millions of years. NASA also argues that similar phenomena occur on Earth and are widely documented. Natural structures can, by chance, look like something artificial. This is because our brain tends to look for familiar patterns, a phenomenon known as pareidolia. So are we only seeing what we want to see? Are we forcing a narrative based on mere illusions? Another strong argument used by skeptics is the issue of leaked images and documents. Many of the photos purporting to show evidence of mysterious structures may have been edited, altered, or even faked by enthusiasts looking to fuel conspiracy theories. Furthermore, some documents classified as leaked often do not have proof of authenticity. Anyone can manipulate images and create a convincing theory based on dubious information. It is possible that many of the claims about life on Mars were created from misunderstandings or misinterpretations of legitimate scientific data. NASA also argues that the fact that we never found fossils or living organisms during the missions is clear proof that Mars is, in fact, a desolate planet. If there were any trace of life present, the countless rovers that have already explored its surface should have detected something more concrete. Even the presence of methane in the atmosphere cannot be considered conclusive evidence, as the gas can also be produced by geological processes. For the space agency, any biological explanation will only be accepted when there is irrefutable proof. And so far, this proof has not appeared. Another point raised by experts is the issue of commercial interests and space exploration. Many believe that if there was a discovery as shocking as the existence of life on Mars, NASA would not be able to hide it for so long. After all, other space agencies like ESA, Roscosmos, and even China's CNSA are also exploring Mars. If NASA really was hiding something, wouldn't other nations have exposed that information to gain an advantage? The space race has always been marked by competition, and it would be difficult to believe that a secret of this magnitude could be kept for so long without some other power revealing something. And there is also the issue of secrecy and supposed censorship of images. NASA makes most of the images captured on Mars available to the public, allowing independent scientists to analyze them. If there was something truly out of the ordinary, wouldn't we already have seen this evidence incontrovertibly? Many argue that color editing and image adjustments made by NASA are just technical processes to improve visual quality and allow for more detailed analysis. This wouldn't mean there's anything to hide, but rather that the agency is following scientific protocols to ensure the data is presented in the best possible light. But even with all these explanations, there are still unanswered questions. If Mars is an inhospitable and lifeless planet, why do so many missions continue to be sent there? Why has the focus on Mars become an obsession for space scientists and billionaires? Are all the strange formations, image anomalies, and statements from former employees really just misinterpretations? If NASA has complete transparency, why do some images appear to disappear, be blurred or cropped before reaching the public? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe the official explanations make sense, or do you think there is still something that is not being revealed? Comment here. NASA doesn't tell everything. If you think there is something being hidden, or this is all just coincidence. Conventional science is believed to be right. Your comment is fundamental to this debate, and together we can analyze all the possibilities about the mysteries of Mars. After everything we have analyzed, after so many suspicious images, leaked documents, testimonies from former NASA scientists, and evidence that seems to challenge the official narrative, it is difficult to believe that Mars is just a barren desert with no relevance beyond what we have already been told. Something definitely doesn't add up. Missions continue to be sent. Billionaires in the space sector are in a frantic race to set foot on the red planet, while the public continues to receive only fragments of carefully filtered information. If there is nothing extraordinary there, why so much effort, so much secrecy, and so much caution in disclosing the data? NASA, over the years, has maintained a standard discourse. Mars is a barren, cold, and lifeless world. However, the agency's own history reveals that whenever controversial data emerges, the response is the same. There is no conclusive evidence. But what does conclusive really mean? The 1976 Viking experiment that indicated the presence of biological activity in Martian soil has been discarded. The presence of methane, a gas that is strongly linked to life on Earth, has never received a definitive explanation. Strange structures in images. These are shadows and natural erosion, signs of liquid water flowing, a discovery that seemed to be quickly ignored. There is a clear pattern in the way certain information is handled, always avoiding any statement that could generate greater repercussions. And here comes an interesting point. If NASA really had nothing to hide, why are there so many contradictions? Why do certain documents disappear or get classified? Why do some images appear to have suspicious edits before being released to the public? The simple fact that so many questions remain unanswered is an indication that something may be being hidden. We are not talking about fanciful theories or unfounded speculations. We are talking about facts, concrete data that have been collected over the years and that simply do not receive due attention. Now think with me. What would happen if tomorrow NASA officially confirmed that it found life on Mars? This would radically change everything we know about the universe, our place in the cosmos, and even our own history. It would be the biggest announcement in the history of humanity. But this revelation would also come with a gigantic impact on society, religions, science, and global politics. Would we be prepared for this truth? Or does this knowledge already exist and is being carefully managed to be revealed at the right time, under the terms of those who actually hold this information? What we know is that the exploration of Mars will not stop. Each new mission can bring new discoveries, new images, new clues that there is much more behind this planet than we imagine. But as long as NASA continues to control the flow of information, we'll never be completely sure what's really going on there. This brings us to the big question. Will we one day know the whole truth, or will Mars remain a carefully guarded mystery? Now I want to know your opinion. Do you think NASA is hiding something about Mars? Do you believe that there is information being omitted, or that this is all just a coincidence? Comment below. NASA is hiding something. If you believe there are secrets being kept, or that's just theory. If you think all the official explanations make sense. Your comment is essential for this debate, and so that we can continue exploring the greatest mysteries of the universe together. If you've made it this far, it's because this video really impacted you. You now have information that most people cannot even imagine, and this puts you one step ahead in the search for the truth. But this journey has just begun, and I want you to continue exploring these mysteries with me. So, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel right now and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos. Here, you will always find deep investigations, hidden evidence, and questions that few have the courage to ask, and to find out who really followed this investigation until the end. I want you to comment below. The truth about Mars needs to be revealed. If you believe there is something being hidden, I want to see this phrase dominating the comments. This also helps spread this message to more people and strengthen this community of truth seekers. So, subscribe, comment, and let's continue to uncover the secrets of the universe together. If Mars already raises so many doubts, imagine what could be hidden about extraterrestrial life beyond our solar system. Behind the scenes at NASA, leaked documents and confidential reports point to something even bigger. Concrete proof that we are not alone. What was discovered? Why was this information never made public? In the next video, we'll explore these files and reveal details that could change everything we know about the existence of life beyond Earth.